Why are you working so hard? Have you ever asked yourself that question? And if you have, when's the last time you asked yourself that question? Today, we are identifying with Ian Lobas your purpose and why you want to get to those giant goals that you have for yourself and your business. Hey, what's going on? This is Kyle Stanley here, and you are watching The Fearless Investor or listening to The Fearless Investor. Make sure that you subscribe to us on both YouTube and the podcast and rate and review us on the podcast. Make sure to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. And we are talking about your purpose today with Ian Lobas. He is the host of the Men on Purpose podcast, one that I've been on. A really great podcast where we're really not talking just about strategies and all these kinds of things. We're really trying to they're trying to figure out who really these guys are at the core and what they're doing around with their community, with their business. And that's what I wanted to bring to the show today was not just Ian, who is a real estate investor and is doing a ton of deals and he's making a lot of transitions during COVID of becoming his own property manager. We could talk about that all day long, but what I really enjoyed about my first conversation with Ian when I was on his podcast was just the level and the depth of conversation that I love having and just understanding the human psyche. And so that's what we're talking about today with Ian and how to become a man on purpose. So let's get to it with Ian Lobas. All right, we're here with Ian Lobas from Baltimore, Maryland, soon to be in LA, in my part of the town. But hey,
Yep.
I'm excited to have you on the show today, Ian. Ian is the host. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see right behind him the Men on Purpose podcast, which is an awesome podcast. There you go. Thank you, Vanna. And really what I'm excited today too is Ian and I got connected because I was on his podcast, but in getting to know each other, we both realized we're in the same line of work in real estate investing. But today we're really going to be diving into some deeper stuff than just real estate investing. So I'm excited for that. But before we jump into it, Ian, thanks for being on the show. And what is your most interesting real estate investing story?
Yeah, my pleasure, Kyle. Dude, I have so many, man. I have so many. I think the last one, interesting wise, is I did this project 13601 Brookline Road in Baltimore, and I love this house. I absolutely love this house. I bought it from an auction. It was really well cared for, and I decided to make this thing like I'm obsessed with Southern California and that style and that vibe. I decided to just rip this thing wide open, but keep some of the colonial aspects, like, coffered ceilings. And it was like one of those ones that I was so proud of it. And then I decided to push the neighborhood values by $100,000. We got it.
Wow.
Then we appraised. And I'm thinking, man, this is great. Like, this is awesome. The beginning of it was rocky because I had a contractor I gave a bunch of money to. He came in, took 3 weeks to barely even got the property, rolled off with the rest of the money. Second contractor comes in, another $5K, doesn't finish gutting it in another 2 weeks. Then my main contractor comes in, builds this beautiful house. And I'm thinking, man, this is a great flip. And then bam, the problems just start rolling in, man.
No.
And the day of the home inspection, anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. The day the inspector was on the property with the buyers, we found an underground spring underneath the basement. It flooded the basement. Yeah. Yep. Dude, you name it, it happened. And it's just, I laugh about it now, but I made no money on that. The best part was, though, that I returned all the money to the investors, and they made their money. They made their percentage. But I'll tell you right now, I still look at that house. Like, I'll pull it up every once in a while on my phone. I love that house. It was a project that I loved, and it was about doing the right thing by the client to save your reputation or to preserve it, and to make sure that karma's good for the next project. So absolutely. I didn't have to rip that basement up and put a perimeter drain system in. I didn't have to do a lot of stuff, but I did it because I wanted to have a good product out there. You know what I mean?
I think that's the main thing is, you get with a lot of real estate investors and, a lot of them I hear, hey, I got to make my money too. So we got to cut some corners. And it's like, if that's the kind of deal that you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing the deal anyway. So, but either way, it's a good thing though, that you're taking care of both your investors and your customer being the buyer, because
Right.
last thing you want is an unhappy buyer, because that can lead to a lot worse. But well, hey, that's awesome, man. Let's just jump into this thing, because you've got a podcast where you're, by the way, everyone needs to go and subscribe to it, Men on Purpose. It's really what it sounds like. It's just men and what they do on purpose and what their purpose is. And I had a
Yeah.
great time being on your show a couple weeks ago. But you also have this real estate investing side. So just kind of give the people an idea of who Ian is and what he's all about.
Sure. I grew up in the international shipping business with my dad. It's the only, quote unquote job I've ever had. And, if you go to the episode from May 11th, you'll get to hear about entrepreneurship as I interview my dad on the Men on Purpose podcast. And so I grew up in that business, and I decided to, start my own thing in 2012. So I started a real estate sales team, and I've been running that ever since. And then, I love real estate. I love flipping. I love design. I love all those cool creative aspects and construction. And so I started flipping again in 2012. And we've had a blast, but my real love is personal development coaching. And I've been a coach for 7 years.
Nice.
And we've got clients from all over the world. And that's the one that I have like genuine, authentic fun every day. Every time I talk to somebody, it's really fun to not only help somebody, make money with real estate, but like to help somebody free themselves of something that's holding them back in their own internal world is fascinating to me. So that's like, I've got the podcast, Men on Purpose. I've got the coaching business. I've got a real estate sales team, and I've got a real estate investments. And I'm moving to LA at some point in the
There you go.
in the next year.
Yeah. Well, so here's what I want to ask you, because I think what you do, it's so interesting, right? Because you've taken this idea of being a business owner, and there's a lot of, gurus out there that teach real estate, but you've taken it one step further, and we're talking about like business coaching, life coaching, and that takes a whole new level of patience, what
Yeah,
I
it
would
does.
say. So, you said you have a lot of fun with it, but I bet there's got to be some struggles. I bet you have a lot of clients that are just getting in their own way. What's some of the things that you see? I guess I'm just kind of asking this question because I think there's a lot of people that are listening right now that are just in their own way,
Yeah.
that need to get out of their way. So what are some of the common things that you see?
Everybody's in their own way. You, me, everybody is in their own way at some capacity. And the world of psychology is huge. However, it comes down to very simple concepts. And yes, it is more challenging to coach somebody who calls me about coaching them through real estate investing to get started, or to build a an online business or something. Like, we do a lot of business coaching. But we found that the common denominator was always the person. And if we're not, I've had coaches over the years that they always just wanted to coach this one aspect on the right side. And I remember, back in like 2013, 14, I remember sitting down and asking my coach, like, hey, I'm paying you $1,000 a month for about 28 minutes every week. And that's pretty common, right? But like, all you say to me is the numbers and the business stuff. But when are you going to talk about why I'm not able to do something, or why I'm stopping myself, or what's stopping me that I just don't know? I don't know. And so I became fascinated by the unknown of the human element. And sometimes personal development can be overwhelming. I have a system that's very simplified, and I take people through this priming and probing for information depth and foundation and patterning. And I get somebody within an hour call. I will get somebody like literally their stuff is all out on the table now. And now we're starting to pick up the patterns and the pieces and understand what happened, why they make the decisions they make. Because you can be a real estate investor and you can be very successful, but you can also have a shit personal life, right? We want to make sure that everything is on purpose. Every aspect of your life is on purpose. And so that's kind of just a quick synopsis of how that works. It's the person within what they do, and fixing both, or growing both elements.
Yeah. So is that what Men on Purpose means to you? Is what you just said there, the person within? Wait, say it again.
Yeah, you're growing the person within what
Yeah.
you're doing. So
Okay.
like most people identify like, oh, I am a real estate investor, or I am a real estate agent, or I am a business owner. But that's not what you are. That's what you do.
Right.
Who you are is a totally separate thing, and most people have to reshift or even like actually build an identity, because most of their life they've been somebody's kid, somebody's student, somebody's this, somebody's that, this person to that person. And then they get into the professional world, and now they're this professional, and they actually don't ever know who they are. We help people actually get their identity back, or discover who they truly would like to be,
That's awesome.
and then we inspire and empower and enrich that into the business or whatever you want to do. So you
Okay.
actually, you operate on an entirely new plane in everything that you do: relationships, business, whatever, money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is super cool to me. And my brain, of course, thinks of, have you ever seen Anger Management with Adam
Yeah.
Sandler? You remember
Yeah.
the scene where Jack Nicholson's like, don't tell me what you do, tell me who you are. He
Right.
just keeps
Right.
pushing the button. That's what I'm thinking of. But obviously, with what you guys are talking about, I mean, this is taking it to another level that most people just don't think about. I saw a post the other day that like some of the most successful people in the world just take 90 minutes every week to literally just like stare at a wall and think and just like reflect and
Yep.
figure out all the things that they haven't thought about for a week, a month, a year. And
Yeah.
I think that self-reflection time is really important. But is that, I guess, like my mind is trying to wrap around how you do that. You talk about finding the person within the person and finding this purpose. How are you helping people to do that?
So I'll give you an analogy. Have
Yeah.
you've seen the Michelangelo's David, the big like 15, 16 foot tall statue of
Right.
marble?
Yeah.
So, and I never know if this is true. We never won't have any way of verifying this, but Michelangelo was quoted in an interview by somebody in the town, and they said, "How did you create this?" And he said, "I didn't. I just removed the pieces of marble that weren't David, because
Mm,
David was already inside the marble."
wow.
And that's how I run our coaching business. There's nothing we need to fix. There's actually more we need to remove. You know, I had a post on Facebook last night that that one of my mentors, one of the best pieces of advice that he gave me was, slow the F down, dude.
Yeah.
Slow down. You're running so fast that you're not going to absorb anything, and you're almost running from something instead of running towards something. So what I mean by, like, you don't have to build yourself into anything. You just have to remove all the pieces that just no longer serve you in your current present life. They might have served you when you were 5 or 10 or in high school, if you got bullied, or if you were the star of the football team, and you had these insecurities over here that you had to mask. Everybody's got their thing with trauma and with past conditioning and programming. Everybody. We figure out how you've been programmed, how your identity got formed, how your thought process got formed, and then we figure out how you, in today and in the present moment, make different decisions, different choices, to then be and do different to get different results. It's the only
Mm.
way it works.
Like you said, removing the crap, right?
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. Hey, Fearless Flipping community, we are taking a quick break from the podcast to talk about Airbnb. For those of you that don't know, I have built much of my residual income around Airbnb, despite a lot of other investors being really excited about long-term renters. I was not. I saw an opportunity with Airbnb to get to my goals faster, to get more cash flow, and to pay off my houses quicker too. So instead of being really happy like a lot of other investors are with $200 to $300 of cash flow every single month, I've turned my renters and rentals into over $1,000 on average of cash flow every single month. So if you want to learn more about Airbnb, my systems, where I pick my Airbnbs, how I communicate with guests. Maybe you've already got Airbnb as a business on the side right now, but you want to take it to the next level. I am absolutely here to help you. You can book a free consultation with me about Airbnb. Learn more by booking at fearlessflipping.com/consultation, and you get me for 30 minutes for free. That's right, 30 minutes absolutely free. And that's, once again, fearlessflipping.com/consultation, and I'm looking forward to helping you conquer Airbnb investing. Do you have any like breakthroughs either in yourself or with other clients that you're just like, wow, that encompasses everything that we're all about?
I'll give you, yeah, I mean, there's so many different breakthroughs. And like I said, we've had hundreds of clients, and we elevate, enrich, and educate everybody. And it's my personal goal and mission in that business. Like if I won't take you on if I don't think I can help,
Mm.
because I know I can do the work for you or to get you to a certain place. But if you don't do the work and it's not reciprocated, I can't take that on. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example from me. Most people can recognize this in themselves who are in business or go-getters. Myself in business was always to mask something that I was super afraid of, which was being not approved of, not being liked, not being loved, and being a loser, right? And so that was just programming from my childhood. And my parents did a great job raising me, but
Mm-hmm.
the way that my brain wired was just that to protect myself, I had to be smarter and I had to be better than you, faster than you, and outwork you. And so being number one as a sales guy, that was how I got love and attention and affection. And that's why I'm saying follow the patterns, right? But what that was doing and who I was being, like I was the number one guy, I had tons of money coming in and success and power and all this other stuff. But my wife wanted to divorce me because like I was an asshole at home and I was selfish and I didn't have any more left in the tank for my family. But I wanted that. I just didn't know how to give a part of my, my business self up because it was fueling or was keeping me, away from my fears and my insecurities.
When you say
So when
you wanted that, you wanted the family lifestyle, or
I
you
wanted the
wanted
family life. Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah. I wanted that, but I was so terrified as to who I would be if I wasn't the top producer or the best at this or the top at that, that I was almost willing to give up my family. And a lot of divorce guys who I coach and women will talk about how now they see with clarity what they could have done differently or who they could have been differently in their relationship to keep that up. We've actually had two couples get back together after being divorced because they got such clarity about what they were running from.
Right.
And they just couldn't get together in that relationship at that time. So when I realized that, past conditioning, patterning, programming, when I realized that, it allowed me to start to step back and take little steps like, if I don't own 1,000 units, am I good enough? If I don't sell 50 million this year, am I okay? Like, are people going to like me still? Stupid stuff, right? Irrational, but it's real to us.
Yeah. Well, I think the toughest thing too about people like you and I, and I'm sure a lot of your clients and a lot of people listening right now, the doers who are competitive and want to be the best and want to just excel to this crazy high level, is that we forget at some level why we're reaching towards that. And it takes like this COVID thing to happen where it's like where you're forced to stop working so much that at least this is like just from me, my perspective, but I was forced to stop working so much. And in doing that, realize like, wow, I could sit here and complain about the fact that I'm probably not going to flip as many houses this year as I thought, or get as many deals as I thought, or, add as many Airbnbs as I thought. But like today I make more money doing almost nothing compared to 2 years ago when I was working my absolute tail off and barely being able to do check to check. And but you get so competitive, right? Where you're just like, it's never good enough. And this honestly for me has been one of those moments where it's like, hey, what I've done, what I've accomplished is good enough. And I don't have to be the number one. Did you have some of those like moments where you were just like, wow, I don't even know why I was chasing number one, but now it's like silly to me? Am I understanding that was kind of like the moments that you had?
Yeah, I mean, to be a more effective coach, I needed to know why, because I needed to be able to coach other people through and out of that, right? The only way out is through. You got to go through the crap. And, most people that are go-getters, hard chargers, pushers, crushing it, it's like, I call it an escape pod. If they really slow down, and like COVID's done this to a lot of type A's like us. And I think COVID would have crushed me if I wasn't who I am today.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy I am today loved COVID. I love COVID because I love being at home. hanging out with my family. And look, don't get me wrong, I still run 6 businesses. I've got a ton of rental properties. Fired my property manager a couple weeks ago, took all of it on myself.
I
No
remember you telling me
experience in
that. That's
property
crazy. Yeah.
management. But you know what? Like, it all happens for a reason. It all bumped my personal responsibility, my accountability to me, my family. There's a reason for everything. So the more you can slow down and actually see, like, I remember the first time I wasn't number one in my office, and my wife was like, see, you're fine. And I'm like,
Yeah.
am I though? Like, what if people forget about me? And
Yeah.
she's like, you got to address that fear only. And I did. And I just kept addressing the issue that I was feeling, but the feeling was just something I made up from the past. It wasn't real. Nobody gave a shit if I was first or 20th. Nobody cared. So yeah, dude, I mean, look, there's a, you know, I'm a part of a lot of these like multifamily, single family investment groups, and everybody talks about units. And I watch these guys who are new get into some real deep stuff, and it's a lot of ego and it's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses. And I worry about that because I've been that guy.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what you need for you. And you and I talked about this. Like, for me, I know exactly how many units I need for passive income, for net worth, and what I'd like to pass on for legacy to my children and next generations. Other than that, unless it's a sick deal and I'm flipping, I'm not keeping anything else. In fact, I'm getting ready to auction 5 properties because guess what? Some of the best advice I got from a guy who owns 10,000 units, he said, look, you have to evaluate the business every year and cut the dead weight. If you have underperforming or poorly performing property, cut it.
Yep, absolutely. Going back to what you said there, just about being okay with not being number one. I mean, I think the timing of all this is really interesting because, you know, that the documentary, The Last Dance, is out right now. I'm watching that with the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. And you just see it. I mean, most people that are number one and getting all this attention, just like Michael Jordan, like, they don't enjoy their life. You know, there's all this pressure to perform, and there's all this attention on you, and there's never that time to just go back and be alone and recharge. And every time he goes out to the grocery store, he's being mauled. And there's that level, like, you know, there's no real like real estate investor out there probably that has that kind of attention, unless you're maybe like a Grant Cardone or whatever. But at the same time,
big Facebook guy.
Yeah. So, but unless, you know, so there's not like a total way of comparing that, but at the same time, that desire to always outdo yourself, I think ends up becoming your purpose, but that's not that's an empty purpose. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that you build yourself this dopamine release. And every time, you know, I remember like when I first started in real estate, a $3,000 a month, I was like, oh my God, I can make my bills and the bank's not going to take my house. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then all of a sudden it was like, man, if I'm not making 100,000, grossing 100,000 this month, I'm a loser. Like, it's crazy. Like, I have a picture of that first check I got for $212. My first transaction was a rental, like a total crap rental. And I was so proud of myself that day. But then I look back on that, and at my height of my real estate career, I was like, wow, $100,000 is now the new normal. This is freaking crazy.
Yeah. Which, you know, you like growth, right? But at some level, it's like, wow, when does that desire to keep on growing become enough? And I think we are hitting on some of those reasons. I want to make sure I get in this question before we log off here. But, you know, I think one of the things that I noticed that's really difficult is, especially clients of mine, you get people coming in, they're excited. They want to change. They want to learn. But the problem is that's all they want to do. They just want to learn. And they don't want it bad enough. They don't take that action. And I find myself saying that, hey, you know, they're just not ready. They're just not taking the action because their desire is not bigger than their fear. But how do you help someone get past that fear or get past that like dopamine of just, hey, this feels good to learn?
Yeah. Most people are perpetual learners.
Yeah.
And we all need to be perpetual learners, but most people will never just do. I put a post on the last week, actually, that my a great mentor and coach to me, Rhonda Smith, she's been such a blessing in my life. She said to me, dude, how many books did you read this year? And I'm like, 68. And she's like, yeah, And you can tell me everything from everyone. I'm like, I mean, pretty much. I took notes. And she's like, and your life still sucks at home. And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. She's like, great. What'd you get? I thought that reading more and going to more seminars and doing more stuff would do it. But she said to me, dude, put the effing spoon down.
Yeah.
Stop eating. It's Thanksgiving dinner. You can't eat for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to put the spoon down. You've got to put into action what you just nourished yourself with. It means go out, spend the energy, do something, right? Then come back with new lessons, new experiences on how to tailor the learning down, and then take that and then go back out and do it. So the way that we do it with our clients is, whether it's building a business or upping the business they have, or, you know, getting a new promotion or whatever. Even the real estate investment clients we have, it's stages.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here is how this is going to work. This is the learning. This is the action. Do the action, get the next step. Other than that, like, I take people through, before I bring them on as coaching clients, I take people through 3 stages of question and answer that are all very designed by my experience to see, like, if somebody's going to do the work. And they're designed to go 3 layers deep. So the first time they'll do the questions is 1 layer. The second time they'll get to another layer, and I'll see where they are in their growth and personal development. But we won't go any further than that 3rd level if I just don't see that they're actually willing or called to be on purpose to take action for that life that they say they want to live.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's really key. That's something I've started to do in my business too. You know, I talk to a lot of people. I'm sure you talk to a lot of people. And you're all, you know, at the end of the day, you don't want to just collect a paycheck from someone. You really want to help people. And I really enjoy talking to someone and telling them, hey, if you're serious, you'll do X, Y, and Z. And then they come back a day later and they say, hey, look, I did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I can help that person like that. Right. That's someone and that's something I preach to other people too. It's like, if you're going to go get a mentor, and you're going to take them to lunch and you're going to take their time, even though you pay for lunch, most of the time your mentor's time is worth way more than just a free lunch. And then you don't go and do the stuff that they told you, like, they're probably not going to want to work with you again. So that's great advice, man. So if people are ready to take action and just following you, obviously they can go to Men on Purpose on all the podcast formats and platforms, but where else can they go to connect with you?
So you can find me on my main website, which is ianlobas.com, IANLOBAS.com, or you can go to menonpurposepodcast.com. Find me, Men on Purpose Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Like, you can't miss me. It's all awesome. You'll either see a picture of my face with my kid or a picture of the Men on Purpose logo. Other than that, like, it's my mission in life. And you know, I always encourage people, like, don't make 50 million variables out of this thing. It's very simple. It's actually very simple. And if you want help from somebody at a high level, just have a great attitude and be coachable. And what I mean by that is, let them bust your ass. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to mess stuff up. And then go back humble and vulnerable and ask for help and ask how you can learn from what you did. So coachable with a great attitude is great. Like, anybody that asks me to even mentor them, like young guys, I'll say to them, the first time you push back on me with an attitude, I'll be done. And not like a challenge me, but like a shitty attitude. Like, right. I'm done. I don't have time for that. But I can tell you, I mentor a lot of like younger guys in their teens and 20s that they're hungry for more, and they're doing the work, and they're just phenomenal people. So I'm happy to help anybody. And like I said, we help people in all areas of life, all areas of the world. And we're also looking for guests for Men on Purpose podcast.
There you go. Perfect. And I'm assuming they can just go to menonpurpose.com for that.
Yeah. Hit the apply button, or you can do, it's a bit.ly link. It's like bit.ly/pitch MOP. And you can fill out the pitch form there.
Awesome. Yeah, I could have conversations like this all day long, man. Thank you so much for what you do. I know you're helping a ton of people, and I hope there's some people listening right now that will want your help too. So, Ian, thanks so much for helping our audience to conquer the world of investing today. All right, head to fearlesskyle.com/Ian Lobas for the show notes. That's IANLOBAS Lobas, Ian Lobas. So Ian is, as you can tell, he's a man on purpose. He is a man with a purpose, and he's got a huge passion for helping people out. And I think just if nothing else today, that you just really examine, especially during this time of reflection and during all this COVID madness, it's the best time to really just sit and think about, what do I want with my life? Why do I want it? How am I going to get it? Asking those questions that maybe you haven't asked yourself in a while. I think that's a really good idea right now. So if you can, once again, go to the show notes, fearlesskyle.com/Ian Lobas, and you can get connected with him. Thank you again for joining us today and conquering the world of investing. We'll see you next time.